Hello everyone, today I want to talk about magic. The world is magical. God made it magical. The way a butterfly flies, the way the rain falls, and the sunlight, roses, and animals, and everything is just magical. Chemistry, physics, mathematics, just sheer beauty, sheer magic. All you have to do is study a little bit of math, and you begin to see how is that? How can that happen? That's just amazing how it works. How these things work out. It's just astonishing. And there's one surprise after another. And that's the way life is. It's just fantastic. Now, when you were a little child, you knew that. When you were a little child, you were actually closer to God when you were a little child than you've ever been since. But what happened to you, you lost that sense of awe and wonder. And a lot of us would like to get it back, but you don't know how. So you pretend, you fake it. You try to drum up some emotion and act. But it's an act. It's just emotion, either real or pretend, but it's not the real sense of awe and wonder. In fact, that's the egotistical, the egocentric state of mind. Let's talk about it. See what happened to you. First of all, you were born as a little ego. That's what you came into the world as. That's what you inherit with a body. Okay? But you have the potential of much more. And that potential you know as conscience. When you were a little child, you also were aware of your conscience. If you did something wrong, if you hated your mommy, for example, you got really angry at your mommy, your conscience bothered you. What was your conscience? It's actually your closest link to God. Your link to principle, to honor, to truth, to sweetness, to patience, to goodness, to innocence, to nobility. That's your link right there. But undoubtedly, over the years, you have grown away from your conscience. So you may not even sense it anymore. Okay? You may not even sense it. Or if you do, you only feel like an anxiety. Well, so what happened then? You were this little ego, and you had to grow up to be a big ego, because that's what you inherit from your parents all the way back to Adam and Eve. So you had to have teases and intrigues and sibling rivalry and all that stuff. You had to have all of that to grow your ego. Okay, until you grew to be a big ego. So you went from being a cute little ego to being a big ego. And then from being a big ego, a lot of people go on to becoming a nasty ego, a witchy ego. See? Well, so there you are with this ego, okay. But at a certain point, if you start to yearn for something more, okay, you know that life is more than just eating and drinking and partying and working and so on. There's more to life. There's some mystery to life. Not only is the world magical, the way mathematics works out, science, the way animals and the way clouds move and form. It's just magical, sheer magic. Rainbow. But there's also a mystery. See, there's a mystery to life. And there's something to discover. See, God made the world a place to discover. As a little child, to discover God's great green earth. And to run barefoot over the carpet and go outdoors and discover pebbles and rocks and your cat and your dog and all the wonders of nature. Okay? And so God made that. And then as you get older, then to discover knowledge, and mathematics and science and words and read stories. And then as you get older, work. Okay, the joys and pleasures of work, and building things, starting a family, the joys of everything is one discovery after another. It's just amazing. But not only is there that, But then there's something even better. As a little child, you knew that there was a mystery to life. You knew it, to the universe. There was a mystery. Maybe you laid in the summertime in the grass and looked up at the stars. And you knew there was a mystery. Well, it's your job to discover what that mystery is and to discover your purpose for existence. The meaning of life and the purpose for existence. And so there another journey begins. An adventure to discover your purpose. Okay? Well, so you have all of that. So what went wrong? Why isn't life one great big adventure? Okay? Now some people continue to have the I don't want to use the word child. I'll say childlike. I was going to say childish, but I don't mean childish. I mean childlike adventures. You know, mountain climbing, and biking, and horseback riding, and scuba diving, and you know, those things are similar to the joys that we had when we were a little kid, when we went riding our bicycle or our tricycle or ran, you know, and played ball and played baseball and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So they continue with that. Okay, well, that's okay. But it's not a substitute for something more. Okay? I'm all in favor of riding your bicycle and traveling, and scuba diving. I'm all in favor of all that stuff. Okay? It's fun. God made it to be good fun. So it's good to continue with that and hiking and all of that. But there's also something more to discover. And if you don't go on to discover the more, then you're not living fully human. See, the human being was, God created the human from part earth, part heaven, part material, part ethereal, part matter, part spiritual. Because we have a soul. So you have a body, okay, with which you can see things and hear things and so on, and do things. But you have a soul, okay? So you're part earth and part heaven, okay? But there's another pole, you know, like you have the North Pole and the South Pole, and the one attracts some things and the other attracts other things. Well, there's another pole in the universe which has an attraction of its own, a drawing power of its own. And it draws people into self-aggrandizement, into pride, into wanting to play God. Instead of appreciating God, to want to be God. See, instead of knowing God, to know oneself as God. So we're drawn into that. And it begins the way it begins. It's not your fault. Remember, you were just a little ego. It begins with tease and cruelty and confusion and injustice. And you react to it as like egos do, with anger, with outrage, with resentment. And the attention, the unwholesome attention paid to your ego of seduction or cruelty. See, evil, let's call it evil, this dark, this pole, this other entity, this other drawing power that wants to pull us away from our preordained purpose, pull us into other purposes, its own purpose, really. It lets you to think that you're fulfilling some kind of a great purpose for yourself, but you're actually fulfilling its purpose, which is to draw you away from what you could have been and from God and to it. So it then begins when this unwholesome attention, either seduction or cruelty, okay, makes you self-conscious and angry, and pulls you into yourself, where you mope around and you're angry, hurt. See, because of someone's cruelty. This is how it usually starts. And so now you feel all alone. See, and the worst is when it's a parent, like a father who's not there for you. a father who's cruel or an alcoholic, or a father who's not there. See, by his absence. His absence is itself a temptation, and it's his absence itself leaves an empty spot that someone else tries to fill. Okay? So this other entity, this other intelligence, then speaks to your ego. Says, you poor thing, they're cruel, they're no good. You should hate them because they're bad, and you should hate them, get even with them, prove something. See? So it begins to talk to your ego with comfort and with challenges, and seems sympathetic. So you lend it an ear, and you even think it's yourself, your own thinking. But it leads you then into putting aside the sweet things that you knew as a little child, and taking up this quest to prove something, to get even, to show them. See? And, from then on, it just gets worse and worse. It leads you into greater and greater errors. And even if the errors are not great, see, a lot of times it leads you into errors. It leads you into the fatal mistake. You see that, where people do something really dumb or really bad or really wrong and mess their whole life up or get killed. Okay? But it can also just endlessly distract you into little side rabbit trails and trivia. See, trivia itself. See, the elevation of trivia is a way of distracting you from what's really important. Just getting caught up in trivia in itself. If it takes you away from your preordained purpose. If you're endlessly lost in these other things, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, decade after decade, eventually your life goes by and then you miss the boat. You run out of time. Or you use up all your energy chasing after these trivial things. See? So it can be very subtle. Okay? It can be very subtle. Sometimes it's clearly, things are clearly wrong. See, sometimes in God's light you can see something is clearly wrong and you just step away from it. But the thing is, as you get pulled away from being close to God, from this sense of awe and wonder that you had when you were a little child, that's kind of a consciousness, that heavenly blessed state of mind that you had. As you get pulled into thinking, into worry, into self-preoccupation, see, into obsessing over why did she say this and why did he say that and why did this happen and I'm no good and I don't have any luck and I'll prove to them and I'll show them and see, or they hate me and nobody loves me, and it just pulls you into that. Now some of that I understand there's some of it is natural. Okay, we tend to be a little bit emotional when we're kids or when we're teenagers. Okay, that's what the purpose of a good parent or a good grandparent is, to know that this too shall pass. Okay, to help guide you through these times that you thought it was the end of the world. When the boy didn't invite you to the prom or something like that. See, but then there'll be other boys and other proms and other occasions, and someday you'll be married and have kids and everything. Okay, but at the time you make it's really a big thing to you, and so it's good to have someone stable who knows, see, like a good grandma, that this too shall pass. Well, okay, so there's a natural part of it, but then there's an unnatural part where people become morbidly self-preoccupied, where people are resentful, okay, and their resentment pulls them into dark negative thoughts, see, which is not good. And that other entity is there with that sort of thing, see. It's there with that, and it wants to pull you into that, okay. So that's why you must learn how to get out of your thoughts, because God's enlightenment, okay, His plan for you, His enlightenment, it comes to you wordlessly. Okay? It's like intuition, like you discover, you see something without words, and you realize, see, or you just know, or you sense. Okay, they call it what? Gut level knowing, intuition. They say trust your gut. Well, that's from God. Okay, and so that will keep you safe. But when you fall away from that into those thoughts and those imaginings, that fantasy world, see, which caters to you with thoughts of romance and revenge in your daydreams, okay? But then also becomes nightmares when it berates you and says you're no good and everybody hates you and talks to you in those kind of terms, you see. So you need to stay out of those negative thoughts and imaginations. You have to learn to stay out of them. Okay? Learn to stay out of them. To be able to take a mental step back. Okay? Take a mental step back so you're not lost in the thought. It's very important. Then when you're not lost in that state of mind, that frame of mind, that instead of the heavenly state or heavenly state of mind, it's like more like a hellish one, okay? It becomes a hellish one eventually. Okay? Well, when you step back from it, then you're closer to the heavenly state of mind. And you're closer to what you had when you were a little child. That carefree, blithe, carefree spirit, okay? So that's what you need, okay, to find. And you can't expect much help from the world, because most people are lost. They themselves are prisoners of their imagination and negative thoughts and torments. See, most people are pressured. They eventually are pressured from within. See, in the beginning, the pressure is on the outside. Do more, be more, study more pressure, more achievement, more performance, more this, more that. It's always pressure, plus peer pressure, drug pressure, sex pressure. See, academic pressure, just pressure on the outside, but you know what it gets on the inside. And then people are pressured from within with negative thoughts and morbid thoughts and obligations and goals and worries and doubts and fears. See? Now this can't be good, all these worries, doubts, and fears. Remember in the Wizard of Oz, they were there, and then somebody said lions and tigers and bears. And then Dorothy said lions and tigers and bears. Oh no, lions and tigers and bears. Pretty scary, lions and tigers and bears. Well, so are worries, doubts, and fears. Worries, doubts, and fears. Can't be good. Can't be good. It's not the heavenly state. Okay? So you have to begin to wonder, why am I lost in this negative, dark pressuring thoughts? Where do they come from? Do I want to have those thoughts? Are they my thoughts? Why can't I stop them at will if they're my own thoughts? See? So you have to see that there's, it's pretty much like in the cartoon where you had, I don't know, maybe Elmer Fudd was there, and there was a little angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other, or Daffy Duck was there, okay, there was an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other, and the angel was saying one thing and the devil was saying something else, okay? Well, that's kind of the way it is. Okay? So, and it can get confusing, but not when you learn how to stand back. When you learn a little secret, which, if I can help you with a little meditation. I have a free meditation, easy meditation. It helps you be able to stand back. When you stand back, then you simply see that that voice that's talking to you, sometimes it can pretend to be an angel, okay? It's either obviously the devil, or it can pretend to be an angel. It's always trying to mislead you, okay? It's just trying to always mislead you. tells you what you want to hear, and then when you do what it told you to do, then it berates you for doing it, you see, or it tells you you didn't do enough, you got to do more. It's just endless. Okay? But if you can take a mental step back, then God shines His light upon things. God doesn't usually talk to us, but He shines His light upon things, so you can see that both of those voices are not good. One's like the old good guy, bad guy routine. Okay, so they're both. It's all the same thing. So you just stand back from it, let it go. Just don't take it seriously anymore. Just to watch it, let it go. Stand back instead of falling into your thoughts. Stand back. Okay, and if you fall into them, then notice. Then once you learn how to do the little meditation, then if you've fallen into thoughts, you'll notice it. Then you'll snap out. Okay? Snap out. And when you snap out, you're back in reality again. God's reality, His magical reality with butterflies and clouds and wonderful things, okay? And a magical reality where you have a purpose that you have yet to find. You have to discover your purpose, okay? So it's going to be a great adventure, okay? The only things you need commitment. You start meditation and you have to stick with it. You know, you can't be a little bit one thing and then a little bit of another. So you kind of have to be committed to want to know what your purpose is, and you want to be committed to know what's right. See, and like that. So that attitude is important there. But if you want to do what's right and you're willing to know the truth, and you get the little meditation, it could be very helpful. It could be very helpful. My name is Roland.